Hi everyone, this is Kelsey Butkiewicz and Ashley Graffam. Today we will be talking about learning disabilities for our disability project. The Individuals with Disabilities Education Act is the nation's federal special education law that requires public schools to serve the educational needs of students with disabilities. Learning disabilities fall under the IDEA and are defined as a disorder in one or more of the basic psychological processes involved in understanding or in using language, spoken or written, which disorder may manifest itself in the imperfect ability to listen, think, speak, read, write, spell, or do mathematical calculations. Conditions that may be considered as a learning disability include perceptual disabilities, brain injury, minimal brain dysfunction, dyslexia, and developmental aphasia. Similar to dyslexia, a child with a learning disability may struggle with numbers, dyscalculia, or handwriting, dysgraphia. A learning problem that is primarily the result of visual, hearing, or motor disabilities, of intellectual disabilities, of emotional disturbance, or of environmental, cultural, or economic disadvantage are not considered learning disabilities. As a future teacher, it is important that we are educated in the definition of learning disabilities so that we know how to best support our students. In addition to knowing the definition, we should be aware of the common types of learning disabilities.
Common profiles or types of learning disabilities include overall underachievement, reading disabilities, mathematics disabilities, and written expression disabilities. Students with learning disabilities do not achieve academically on par with their peers without disabilities, despite having normal intelligence. In the textbook, it states that most experts are certain that cognitive problems, poor motivation, and/or an insufficient instructional response to their learning disabilities can be at the root of some of these students' learning challenges. Challenges that arise from learning disabilities can include lack of social interaction, need for differentiated instruction, behavioral issues, attention difficulties, and peer rejection. Learning disabilities form the largest special education category in public schools. It is estimated that 5% of the total public school enrollment are identified as having a learning disability. 2/3 of those students identified with a learning disability are male. Although the rate of those with learning disabilities has declined slightly over the past decade, the rates of learning disabilities remain the highest of all disability groups. As a teacher, it is important that we do not misidentify a student for having a learning disability simply because they are unsuccessful in the general education class.
It is estimated that 3/4 of individuals with learning disabilities have problems with social skills, negative self-esteem and self-concepts, the lack of ability to make friends, ineffective approaches to schoolwork, and poor interactions with others. One approach a teacher can take to assist students with disabilities to overcome these problems is pair a student with learning disabilities with a peer who shares a common interest. By providing opportunities for peer interactions, teachers can assist those individuals with the necessary skills and techniques to further develop those social skills. Additionally, teachers should build a classroom centered around respect and positivity, which should help make the students with learning disabilities feel more comfortable and better handle the problems they often face. Unfortunately, learning disabilities are resistant to treatment, and often the instruction or intervention typically used in general education programs does not best support the student. Rather, they could benefit from more intensive individualized intervention, including techniques such as scaffolding, direct instruction, structure and routine, and a multisensory approach. The first teaching strategy mentioned, scaffolding, is when a variety of instructional techniques is implemented in order to further develop the student's understanding. Often, scaffolding looks differently for each student and specifically addresses the individual student's needs.
Direct instruction is teacher-directed and focuses on the teaching skills using explicit, systematic procedures such as modeling, practice opportunities, pacing, error correction, and progress monitoring. In a classroom, this may look like the teacher standing at the whiteboard modeling how to solve an addition problem step by step in front of the student. By providing students with learning disabilities with a constant structure and routine, it allows for the students to be less distracted, disorganized, and better process information since they are familiar with what will happen next and can prepare themselves. For example, a teacher may implement the same morning routine, which includes attendance and a morning circle. The fourth strategy, a multisensory approach, allows the students to learn through more than one sense. These senses include visual, auditory, and tactile. An example of this could be using Play-Doh and Play-Doh maths to help students gain an understanding of number sense or letters. When teachers are informed on the definition of learning disabilities and what challenges the students can face, we are able to better provide assistance and instruction to ensure their success, not only in the academics, but also in their social development. Based on the information provided, as a future teacher, what do you believe would be the most beneficial technique that you could implement within your classroom to best provide support for all students with learning disabilities?
Thank you so much for watching. We hope you found everything in this presentation helpful and useful to you.